What's also interesting is what's happening on the left, because there also the Socialist Party was essentially considered as dead. They've come back from the death tonight. They've kept the 5 regions they held, and you can hear the party leader saying, we're back as a force, and everyone has to unite around us. The problem is that the Green Party, which performed better than last time, but last time was a catastrophe, so it's not that difficult to perform better than a catastrophe. But nevertheless, they're saying, no, the young people, they care about the environment, they care about climate change, so they care about us. So if you want to rally, they tell the socialists, it's around us. So that might be an issue, and let's not forget, you already have a declared candidate on the far left, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who performed strongly in the last presidential election. And obviously, we have to finish this analysis with the National Rally. They were hoping to win a region for the first time ever. This didn't happen, and they didn't even come close to that. So that's a major, major failure for them, because they were always seen as a party on the fringe, and that abstention was favoring them. This is not the case anymore. They've lost in the PACA region, as we just heard, but in other regions they were trounced. So that's a big defeat for Marine Le Pen. And let's not forget the president, because his party was nowhere to be seen in round 1. They didn't play a role, not at all. And that's a worrying sign. Emmanuel Macron is hoping that the presidential election is going to be a totally different election. So is Marine Le Pen. But clearly, the cards have been redistributed tonight. It doesn't mean that we won't have Marine Le Pen versus Emmanuel Macron, but it means now that there's some hope for other parties on the political scene, and that's a big change from just 2 weeks ago.
Right, so we have this. We have all these factors on the table, essentially, going by the results of these regional elections, round 2. But we have to as well mention to viewers, obviously, that 2 in 3 French people stayed at home today, so their voices were heard, essentially. Although you could say that the fact that they didn't turn out at all is really them sending a message to the political class, to the government. What kind of message do you think politicians will be gleaning from this record voter abstention?
Well, they will say, we have to do an effort to get to people, talk to them, understand them, but you've heard that sung many times before. The problem is that the French are not listening. I mean, clearly those elections, people don't really understand what the regions are up to, and the prerogatives have changed, the dates have changed. So it's really, the truth to be told, is very different for a presidential election, where the turnout is generally around 80%. But if you look at all the elections in recent years, turnout has been declining. And that's a worrying sign, because the French are unhappy with what they're seeing. They don't believe in politics. And as I mentioned earlier, usually it meant that, the extremes, as we call them, used to get those votes. The people annoyed, angry, used to vote for essentially for the far right, but also for the far left. Now they're saying, no, I'm not happy with any politician. I'm staying home. I'm not happy, and this is how I vote, by not voting. And that's really a worrying sign for any democracy, and that's clearly a worrying sign for the French. We'll have to see if they make decisions. There was some discussion a few years ago about making voting mandatory, but that seems not to be something that's accepted by many. But that's going to be a big, big question as we head into the final year of Macron's mandate, and what he hopes will be a prelude to a re-election. But the road is going to be very long.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mark Perelman, France 24's politics editor, breaking down those regional elections here for us in France.